It's time for Tracking the Tropics here on Fox Weather. We talked about the potential tropical development in the northern Gulf of Mexico over the next few days. Primarily, this is just going to be a heavy rain event for the Gulf Coast. About a 10% chance over the next couple days of a tropical depression developing. But as we've discussed, tropical development or not, tropical impacts related to rain are what's important. We're not expecting surge or wind as an issue, even if somehow this disturbance can develop into a tropical depression. Here's the issue. You've got that stationary frontal boundary. Into the Gulf of Mexico, there's an upper level disturbance. The two of these potentially interact, and you might have just enough energy there to generate a new area of low pressure that maybe can develop some tropical characteristics. The story is going to be this overall storm system tapping into this, what's going on across the northern Gulf of Mexico. We've seen the well above average heat in place across the southeast last several weeks. The Gulf is very, very warm. Those are actual sea surface temperatures in the upper 80s to around 90. Lots of evaporation taking place, and because of that, high moisture content in the air, that translates to heavy tropical downpours. And look at this, from Texas over to the Florida Panhandle, that's 3 to as much as 8 inches or more of rain, a possibility as we move on through this work week. That could lead to some flash flooding, even though those areas badly need some rain. Over in the Pacific Basin, we now have what is our strongest hurricane of the year, up to Category 4 intensity. This was the latest update as issued by the National Hurricane Center. Look at Hurricane Darby, up to 140 mile per hour maximum sustained winds, a pressure down to 954 millibars. This is a tiny hurricane in size, with those hurricane force winds only extending out about 10 miles from the center. Because of that, storms like this can get very intense very quickly. Clearly a beautiful hurricane via satellite presentation. Thankfully, though, these can also weaken more quickly as they move over cooler waters, which Darby is forecast to do, perhaps even dissipating before it reaches Hawaii.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.